What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Football Busters podcast. We are back once again with another mock draft video today.
Mhm.
My name is Eric. My co-host over there, his name is Will. How you doing this morning, man?
Dog, I'm feeling good today, man. Ready to do this. I'm excited with these landing spots to actually see, where we end up drafting these guys and where they end up falling.
Yeah, for sure. So as Will just alluded to, we've done mock drafts in the past, but this is our first one that we're doing with landing spots based on an NFL mock draft that we got from Chad Reuter of NFL.com. So if you're interested in seeing that full mock draft, we can link that in the description for you so you can follow along there. But as we go through it, we're going to be saying the landing spots for each of these players. So you should be able to follow along even if you're not looking at it. But some points that I wanted to bring up before we get into it. It is hard to find a mock draft that's more than one round right now, and especially one that seems even remotely reasonable.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to say that because obviously draft season's crazy. We don't ever know what's going to happen. So this could be, perfect. We don't know. But I'm just saying that in advance in case you guys get upset with some of these landing spots because some of them do seem crazy, but this is the best that we have to work with right now.
Yeah, so just to reiterate, like Eric said, we did not make this list. Don't go after Chad either, because this is just going to be a really weird sort of draft because this first overall pick, we don't know where it's going to land at. I think it's one of the craziest first overall picks we've had in a while. So, like we said, bear with us, but we wanted to pick one where there was a trade and there is some fun stuff going on. And like Eric said, there's some stuff we don't agree with, so we will talk about the stuff we don't agree with as well. So I'm kind of excited to
Yeah.
get this one.
Yeah, 100%. And also, I think the biggest thing to think about here is even if these landing spots don't end up being, the correct ones, there's still plenty to take away from a mock draft like this because, you can see the difference between our mock drafts where it's strictly based on player evaluation to now where it's based on landing spot and how much that changes, how much situation really matters, I guess is what I'm trying to get at.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so let's kick this thing off. Will, I believe you're going to be at the 101 and
And again, like we've said before, we've said in the past, we'll keep saying it. The 101 this year is just the easiest pick. It's Mr. Bijan Robinson. And in this draft, they actually have him landing at the Philadelphia Eagles, which I think is a great landing spot for Bijan. As of right now, we know it's a long offseason ahead of us. They've got the best offensive line in the league. We've seen running backs be successful behind this line. We've seen three of them this past year between Kenneth Gainwell, Boston Scott, and Miles Sanders have all found varying degrees of success back there. And with the back as talented as Bijan, that's just the full package. Seeing him and Jalen Hurts in the same backfield would be extremely scary. So, just a great landing spot for Bijan right there.
yeah, I love it. Can't argue with it. Bijan is the clear 101, almost regardless of where he goes. So yeah, I love that. Lock it in at the 101. We get to the 102, and we're looking at the quarterbacks here. Again, if you haven't seen our other mock drafts and our player evaluations, I would suggest you go check those out. We also have all of our positional rankings videos up, so you can see that stuff. So it's between Bryce Young and CJ Stroud for me. They're really, really close. And then in this mock draft, Bryce goes 101 to the Texans. CJ Stroud goes 102 to the Colts in a trade. I am of the position that I have CJ Stroud ranked just ahead of Bryce Young. And I think with him going to the Colts, I think that's a slightly better landing spot than the Texans. Probably better offensive line, better weapons, better running back, better supporting cast. And so I'm going to go CJ Stroud here based on evaluation and situation.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. I like that a lot. And I know you're a big CJ Stroud fan. As the time's going on, I'm starting to also become more of one myself too. I like the tape I've seen on him and just him step up in big
Whoa.
games. Whoa, what is happening?
Whoa.
Oh my goodness. And before, sorry, technical difficulties, but like like I was saying, I do like C.J. Stroud more and more as time's going along. With this third pick, though, I will go with Bryce Young to the Texans. I think. Did we specify that we do SuperFlex? We specified we're doing SuperFlex.
We did not. Superflex, three wide receiver, two running back, one tight end, one flex, 12 team is our full settings.
Yeah, just so you guys know. So that's why, Superflex quarterbacks are tough to come by. Rookie draft is the best time you can get a quarterback in Dynasty. Is going to be the cheapest, freest time you can. So, yeah, at that point, I'm going with Bryce Young. I love the arm talent. I love him as a player. I love the poise. And even though he's going to the Texans, we've seen bad quarterbacks even in the past couple years between like Davis Mills find some level of success with the Texans and what they've got over there. So if he can do it, I think Bryce Young can.
Yeah. No, I dig that. Again, like I said, I'm splitting hairs between Bryce Young and CJ Stroud. I love both of them. And I'd be happy to have either of them at the 102 or 103. So we go to the 104, and I think this is where it starts getting a little bit more dicey, where
Mm-hmm.
consensus starts to fall off. I don't know if this is a hot take. We'll see. But I'm gonna go with Anthony Richardson at the 104. So let me set him
Mm.
in there. I keep getting higher and higher on Anthony Richardson. I love what he brings to the table athletically with his arm talent. And I've said it again and again as we've gone through the rankings and stuff. I don't think he's as raw as people are saying that he is. I think mentally he brings a lot more to the quarterback position than people are giving him credit for. It's more of a footwork issue to me that leads to his inconsistencies. And I think that can be cleaned up with some good coaching at the next level. But in this mock draft, he went 13th overall to the Jets, which I think is a pretty good landing spot. They got a lot of young talent around him there, pretty decent offensive line as long as they get healthy because they had some injuries last year. He's got Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore to throw to. And I think just a good coaching staff around him as well that hopefully would put him in the best position to succeed. If he goes to the Jets, I'm curious what you think. Does he start right away, or do you think they still find a way to sit him? I,
Mm.
it's also tough because there's all this talk about Derek Carr to the Jets, and this is not related to that necessarily, but still.
I know. Yeah, it is a little bit tough. I think the smart move is to have him sit for a year, but at the same time, it's like you said, the more time goes along, I have been watching a lot more Anthony Richardson and just a lot of evals and people breaking down the film, and people have been saying what you're saying as well, where it's like he's not as raw as people give him. Like he may be able to slot right in. He's a competitor. I think if it's realistic for the Jets to be able to get Anthony Richardson, I don't think they bring in Derek Carr. Like I think they wait on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, so I like the situation. I think he's got good weapons around him. I think he's got a pretty good offensive line. And so I'd be willing to take him there, even though he wasn't the third quarterback taken off the board. So we'll see where you go here at the 105.
Yeah, this is going to be definitely interesting. I've been staring at this spot, and I think I'm going to go with the more bold choice here as well, just based
Okay.
on the news, based on the landing spot, based on what I'm looking at right here. And I know people are probably going to get upset because they feel like someone else should come off the board earlier, but this is based on landing spot, and I'm looking at Jordan Addison right here.
Ooh,
Looking at
okay.
Jordan Addison because his landing spot in this draft is to the Bills. As we know, as of late, there's been a lot of turmoil with the Bills in terms of the wide receiver room. Stephon Diggs, not very happy with the team. It seems like a trade could be happening at some point soon. Maybe. That's all speculation. But even if it doesn't, and he's just the number two out there with Stephon Diggs, I feel like Jordan Addison is one of the most NFL ready, if not the most NFL ready wide receiver in this draft. And just him along with Josh Allen, I I'd love to see that honestly.
Yeah, no, I love that. I wasn't expecting it, I'll be honest, but it's a fantastic landing spot. It's a great situation for him, whether Stephon Diggs is there or not.
Hmm.
Even if he stays, he slots in as the clear two, in my opinion. And yeah, he's a baller. He's NFL ready. He's a fantastic route runner. That would be a match made in heaven for sure.
Hmm.
Um, so I like the pick at the 105. I'm up at the 106. And this is tough because not that I want to spoil it, but y'all are going to hear it as we go. Will Levis got picked at the 105 by the Carolina Panthers. I like what the Carolina Panthers are doing this offseason. I think they're bringing in a lot of really good coaches. That coaching staff is going to have a bright future ahead of it. I think they have decent weapons. They're starting to improve the offensive line as well. So the landing spot, I think, is a good one in terms of future. But I think everybody knows I'm not a Will Levis guy. I
Hmm.
really don't want to go there. It's SuperFlex. I feel like the value is there. I feel like most people are going to take him here. I just can't get myself to do it. And I'm going to take the wide receiver that was the first wide receiver off the board in this mock draft in Jackson Smith-Njigba. So let me set that. Boom.
So, how do you feel about JSN with the Packers quarterback situation being what it is right now?
I'm just not all that worried about it.
Hmm.
Not that I'm like a huge Jordan Love truther or anything like that. I think he's fine. And even if they bring in somebody else, I just think that JSN is a really QB friendly type of player. Like he's going to play primarily out of the slot. Um, he's going to be that security blanket type player. I think he has versatility to get open at all levels of the field, but I think his strong suit is probably that short to intermediate area, and that's going to be the bread and butter for any mid-tier quarterback that ends up in this position. So I'm just not that worried about the quarterback situation for him.
No, that's fair. I like that a lot. That was why the only reason I picked Jordan Addison is just because he had such a good quarterback situation.
Yeah,
It's tough to
no, I
pass
love
up
it
on that. But I
for
do
sure.
like that JSN off the board right there. I think he deserves that spot. And taking a look at the next pick, I'm not afraid to do it. I'm going to go with Will Levis here, just because this
Yeah,
is super flex. The value's there. Just everything Eric said. He's stepping into a team with weapons that should be good. At least we hear every year that they're good. And DJ Moore and, the running back room they did have last year with Chuba Hubbard, Deonta Foreman. It's it's gonna be interesting to see how Will Levis's career pans out. But I do see him being one of those guys that gets slotted in immediately, especially here at the Panthers, because who else do they have, honestly? So, yeah.
yeah, yeah. I like it. If we're being real, I think that would have been the smart pick at the 106, maybe even the 105. Quarterbacks, as you mentioned when we were talking about Stroud and Young, they're not. You don't find good ones very often. You don't find good ones with high draft capital very often, and so you should really pounce when you get the chance. So yeah, love your pick at the 107, even though I don't love the player. But that's all right. So we get to the 108, and let me make sure I'm not messing this up. Yeah, okay. So I think I'm gonna dip back into the running back pool.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Ooh, go.
with the typical name. I'm not going to be shocking anybody.
Okay.
It's the second running back off the board. This guy went in the second round, seventh pick of the second round, and I'm talking about Jahmyr Gibbs. He went to the Las Vegas Raiders. Let me put him up here so you guys can see him on the screen. Um, there's a lot of talk about what's going to happen with Josh Jacobs this offseason, whether he's going to come back or not. Um, I don't see it, especially if they're letting go a Carr. I feel like this is a rebuilding situation, or at least I hope it is. I hope they don't try to hang on to some sort of contention because it's just not going to work. Um, but yeah, I think Jahmyr Gibbs at the 108 is just a fantastic value. Not something that we had been talking about, for the past month or so. Like we had him going around the 104, the 105. So I think this is a fantastic value to get him all the way down here. And I think at the Raiders, they don't have a great offensive line. We'll see what their quarterback situation is going to be like. But even if they bring in somebody new, somebody's going to need to, dump it off, check down to Jahmyr Gibbs. And he's dynamic enough to work around whatever kind of offensive line he has. So, yeah, I'm going to take the second best running back off the board in the second round here at the 108.
I like that. I like that a lot. This is a tough decision for me right here. This is really tough. So we're getting down to sort of where you got to kind of look at team needs here, because it's starting to get a little bit hairy at this point. But someone that I've been eyeing at a lot, and I thought you were kind of going to say him on this last pick, but I'm also looking at the running back room right now, and I'm looking at Zach Charbonnet for the line because he landed at the Lions here. Which, if I am, and correct me if I'm wrong, but going into this season, Jamal Williams is a free agent going into this season, right?
He is a free agent, and DeAndre Swift is still there. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is a good opportunity, I feel like, for Zach Charbonnet to get drafted. If he were to land in the Lions, I feel like he would land in that Jamal Williams role. And as we saw
Yeah.
last year, that can be extremely fruitful, especially
Yeah.
on this team, up and coming. Zach Charbonnet, not a slouch in a receiving game himself, so he is somebody that could also see that work. He's not just going to be a ground and pound guy, but I don't know. I love Zach Charbonnet landing at the Lions if that's the case. Like, I love that 1-2 punch of him and DeAndre Swift.
Yeah. I think it seems weird. It seems weird that we have a guy that we think as highly of as DeAndre Swift and that we're still happy to take Charbonnet there. But we saw what Jamal Williams did last year,
Mm-hmm.
and Charbonnet is better. Charbonnet is better than Jamal Williams for sure. I think probably in every area. So if we take that role and expand it, the sky's the limit. Well, the sky's not the limit when you're still in a committee, but I think he could do very, very well in that spot for sure.
Absolutely.
And for context, he went at the 55th overall pick, the 24th pick of the second round to the Lions.
Yeah.
So I am up at the 110 now. And I do want to mention, you said it might be time to start looking at team needs. I don't know that I necessarily agree. I think when it comes to rookie drafts,
just take the talent.
9 times out of 10, I'm taking best player available.
Okay.
I think that's just getting value and trying to minimize misses, at least in the first round and probably the early second round, is the most important, even if you're not, filling out your starting roster. Because with Dynasty, it's so fluid with the amount of trades that go on and roster movement. I just feel like best player available would be my advice.
That is true, because you can always move stuff around.
Yeah. All right, so we're here at the 110. And this is, I'm going to take a guy that probably went lower than most people would have expected based on this mock. But I still just believe in his talent. And I'm talking about Quentin Johnston from TCU.
Mm-hmm.
He was drafted as the wide receiver 7 of this class, according to Chad Reuter. He still went in the second round, the 15th pick of the second round. And I don't know how I feel about the landing spot. This is mostly just me believing in the player, but he went to the Patriots.
I think that, no offense to Chad, but he's kind of tripping based on because I don't see how that could be the case. How he would go land this far based on all the other teams ahead that did pick wide receivers. Why they would go for the player that they picked above him in a lot of these cases don't really make too much sense.
Yeah. Again, we said it in the beginning. No hate. Like, draft process is crazy. He could be basing it on player evaluation. He could be basing it on just what he's heard in the rumor mill and what teams are looking for what. So who knows? But I agree with you. I don't think Quentin Johnston is going to go as the wide receiver 7. I think he's going to go earlier than that. But I think with what's his name? B.O.B., who the offensive coordinator now for the Patriots, Bill O'Brien.
Bill O'Brien.
That's what it is. I think he's going to be a massive improvement from what we saw out of Matt Patricia and Joe Judge, that combo at OC last year.
Yeah, Matt Patricia,
an absolute shit show.
Matt Patricia's not even OC. Why was he doing that?
I don't understand. It didn't make any sense. But yeah, he's going to be a massive improvement. There is talk now that Mac Jones might be on the trade block. I hope that doesn't happen. I think that Mac is definitely better than Bailey Zappi. And I hope that they keep him around. I'm kind of assuming that Mac Jones is going to be the starter here in this instance. But Quentin Johnston walks into a wide open wide receiver room where he, I think, takes over as the wide receiver 1 immediately. And I just feel like Bill O'Brien as the head coach and as a GM, not maybe the greatest, but as an offensive mind, I think he will be able to deploy Quentin Johnston in the way that suits him best.
Oh, yeah, I absolutely agree. Because we've seen successful weapons under Bill O'Brien, like DeAndre Hopkins. But yeah, it's just we could see a successful career out of Quentin Johnston with the Patriots. What are we ticking down for?
I don't know. Why do we have that noise?
I don't know. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know what that is. Okay.
All right, we're back. We're good.
Yeah. Dog, every time we get this thing involved, man. It's so funny. Yep. Okay, so taking a look at the 11th pick, I'm going to take Mr. Kayshon Boutte. In this mock, he landed at the 44th overall pick, the 13th pick in the second round to the Falcons. I'm not super optimistic about the landing spot because the quarterback situation isn't amazing over there. As we know, Mariota's not there anymore. Desmond Ridder seems to be the guy moving forward, but it's a long offseason, like we said. We don't really know how this stuff's going to end up shaking out. But just with
Lamar Jackson.
If it's Lamar Jackson and he's got Kayshon Boutte, Drake London, and Kyle Pitts.
Whoo, baby, look out.
Yeah, that would be filthy. But
That's all speculation, though.
that's all speculation. But I do like Keishon Butte as a weapon himself. I think he's somebody that you can work in sort of a Debo role as well. He could be getting touches and running the ball too. It's just, yeah, it's the other players around him right now are scary. So I feel like Keishon Butte in this situation is the safest one for me right here in terms of not missing. But yeah, I don't. I'd be interested to see what you do with this next pick right here.
Yeah, it was Kayshawn was in the running at the 111. Definitely somebody I was considering. I think I had Kayshawn ranked above the guy that I'm about to pick at the 112, but just based on draft capital and situation, I probably would have taken this guy ahead of him. I'm talking about Zay Flowers
Mm-hmm.
out of Boston College. He went, I think, as the fifth receiver off the board at the 209, or the ninth pick in the second round to the Saints. And again, a weird situation that we're not sure exactly what's going to happen. He's a little, there he is. Put him up on the board. Yeah, we don't know what the quarterback situation is going to look like. I kind of hope it's Jameis, but we don't really know. We're also talking about a somewhat crowded wide receiver room. Maybe crowded is not the right word, but Chris Olave has established himself as the one there. He's a fantastic wide receiver. I think Rashid Shaheed deserves more credit than he got last season. I think he's going to fit in as a good wide receiver 3 there, and Zay Flowers would probably be the 2. But we've talked about him a ton, just player evaluation wise. I love how dynamic he is as a receiver, and when he has the ball in his hands, I think he's super dangerous after the catch. So I'm just excited to see what he can do in that offense, regardless of what it looks like around him.
Nah, I agree with that too. I think he's electric. Like you said, anytime he touches the ball, it's a problem for the defense. So I'm excited to
Yeah.
see how they can deploy him if this does end up being true. This is gonna be a crazy draft.
Heck yeah.
But looking at the first pick going into the second round, I've been taking a good long look, and I think I'm looking at Michael Mayer here, tight end, because his
Okay.
landing spot is at the Detroit Lions. As we know, they traded away T.J. Hawkinson last year, so the tight end room is pretty wide open. And Michael Mayer is somebody who was able to put up pretty historic numbers as a tight end in college. Excited to see how they can get him involved in an already really talented offense. Like Eric was starting to say too, they just have a really, really talented, high-powered offense. Between Jameson Williams will be back next year, the Sun God. They could possibly have Michael Mayer at tight end. You got possibly two great running backs in the backfield if they go with the draft how it is here. So I do like Michael Mayer landing there. I think that I don't know. It's weird because I feel like the Lions didn't really use tight ends a lot last year, but I feel like when they did, they were really good, you know?
They were touchdown machines.
Yeah.
Like, what was his name? Chase Zylstra? Something
Yeah,
Zylstra?
Zylstra.
He had like
Yeah.
a 3 touchdown, 29-yard game or something last season. I think he had a couple touchdown games. So yeah, I don't know whether that's predictive or not of how they're going to use the tight end position. I will say that when TJ Hawkinson was there, he was kind of disappointing. And when he changed places, he looked a lot better. I do worry a little bit if it's a situation where there's too many mouths to feed. But I mean, it's hard to argue, like you said, with a high-powered offense, seemingly solidified quarterback position, good coaching staff. I like the landing spot just in terms of solidity there. And I guess another point to bring up is the fact that Michael Mayer actually wasn't the first tight end off the board in this mock draft. Dalton Kincaid went as the tight end one at the 11th overall pick, which is kind of crazy. So we'll see him probably soon in this second round. But anyway, let me get to my pick at the 202. I think I'm going to have to do it. It's not that I hate this player by any means. I think that he is talented. I think that he could have success to the next level. I think he's a little overhyped at this point. I'm talking about Jalen Hyatt from Tennessee. So let me lock him in here. Where is he? There he is. Jalen Hyatt at the 202. In this mock draft from Chad Reuter, he went as the wide receiver 3 in the first round, 25th overall pick to the Baltimore Ravens. I actually do like this landing spot. With the new offensive coordinator, Todd Monken, coming into the Ravens system, they're talking about running a more spread offense, not not nearly the same offense that they've been running. That's been super run heavy. It's going to be spread out, more passing, a little bit more pro style than we're used to seeing from the Baltimore Ravens, and I think that could definitely benefit Jalen Hyatt. We still have to see if Lamar is going to be there or if it's going to be a new quarterback in town. I think that that matters quite a bit, but I think that Hyatt can complement Bateman, who is probably a better possession receiver and works more in that intermediate portion of the field, whereas Jalen Hyatt is going to take the tops off of defenses.
I like that. I like that a lot. I think with this next pick, so taking a look at the third pick in the second round, based on landing spot and based on who I think this player is, I'm going to go with Rashee Rice this pick. His landing spot in this draft is the 31st overall pick to the Chicago Bears. As we know,
First rounder.
yeah, first rounder. Somebody that we've talked about in the past, or at least I've talked about a lot in the past as well, where he's really good at finding those seams and creases in the defense. He's really good at sitting in those spots. And I just feel like him landing at the Bears is a good spot for him, and because of Justin Fields' ability to extend plays and use his legs to really extend those plays. And that combination of Justin Fields being able to extend plays and Rashee Rice being able to find those soft spots, I feel like if that's something that Justin Fields really integrates into his game, into taking that extra look down the field to find that guy who's sitting in that spot, I think that's something that could end up taking that big spot, that big step up in Justin Fields' game, and Rashee Rice could help out with that a lot. I know Justin Fields said he was reaching out to like Aaron Rodgers, a lot of the vets, to get some advice on the league. I think that's one big thing he can pick up from them.
Yeah. No, I like that. I think Rashee is a guy that you're a little bit higher on than me, but it's hard to argue with first round capital. I am a little bit nervous about the landing spot. Like, I love Justin Fields as a player and as a fantasy asset, but as a facilitator
Yeah.
for wide receiver fantasy production, I'm a little bit nervous. Um, and do you, I guess, based on the way that you explained it, do you expect him to slide in as the wide receiver one there? They got Mooney, they got Claypool, who is he at this point? I don't know.
I'm expecting them to. I'm
Yeah,
expecting them to get some pretty good burn going forward, at least very early on, and I'm expecting them to get a lot of really good quality looks. Like, I think he's going to
yeah,
surprise a lot of people early on.
I dig it. I dig it. So yeah, Rashee Rice at the 203. I like that. We're on to the 204. I think I'm probably going to stick with the wide receiver position. There weren't a ton of running backs drafted early in this mock in the first three rounds. So if you're expecting to see a lot of running backs, that's kind of why they're going a little bit later for us. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go with Marvin Mims here. So let me
Mm.
put him up on the board.
It's a good landing spot,
There
too.
it is. Yeah, so that's the biggest thing for me. He went as the wide receiver 9. So there's still a few guys left on the board. I guess there's only one guy left on the board that we haven't taken yet, but still a little bit further down the draft board. He went as the 27th pick in the second round, but he went to the Dallas Cowboys. I absolutely love that landing spot for him to slot in alongside with CeeDee Lamb. He can fill so many roles in this offense. Even though he's on the smaller side, he can be a possession guy. I think he's really good after the catch. He's fantastic as far as like a jump ball guy and just winning 50-50 balls. Again, even at his size, he's so good at that. And so I think he can fill any role that's necessary for him to find in this Dallas offense, especially if Gallup gets healthy and they want to implement him fully into this offense. He'll probably be more of the field stretcher, and Marvin Mims can work his way into that slot role. But regardless of how he's deployed, how he's utilized out there in Dallas, I think he's going to have a fantastic, at least early career there.
Oh, yeah. I like that landing spot for him a lot. I think that's going to suit him well, especially alongside, like you said, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, two already really solid receivers. Just going to make them even better. And, Dak's a good game manager, so I'm sure he'll be able to get the ball out there to him,
just a little shade.
Just a little bit.
Nah, man, Dak's good. Dak's good.
Okay. Um,
I'm telling you.
So taking a look at this next spot, I am looking at the running backs, and specifically I'm looking at Sean Tucker. Specifically, I'm looking at Sean Tucker based off a landing spot and based off what we were able to see the Carolina Panthers were able to do with running backs last year. As you guys know, he landed at the Carolina Panthers in this draft. I I think that Sean Tucker himself, he has elite long speed. I think his rushing production did drop recently, but his receptions increased, so he is able to be trusted in the passing game and is able to step up in the passing game. So he's somebody I think if he lands at the Panthers, alongside Will Levis, I think he could find some success over there. I really do.
Yeah, 100%. He was in the consideration for me at this next pick as well. I like the landing spot. Although I don't know how much it matters and how much it's just coach speak. But Deuce Staley came over from the Lions and is now the running back coach for the Carolina Panthers. And he has said that they want to bring back Deonta Foreman.
Mm-hmm.
He also said that's not my decision to make.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens there. But if that's the case, it could be crowded for his first year or so. But it'll
open up at some point.
Yeah, pretty early on, maybe after the first year even.
Yeah.
So I like that pick there. And then I think I'm probably going to stick at the running back position as well and go with Tyjae Spears. So let me find him on the list. How far down is he? Did I miss him?
Where is Tyjae? Definitely want to see.
Bro.
Are they disrespecting your
why?
fans?
Yo, he's below Max Duggan.
Whoa.
Get the fuck out of here. I don't know if that's in the video or not. I didn't know if we paused long enough. If you want to keep it in, you can keep it in. If not, we can cut it. Whatever. We ball.
Yeah, I'll take a look. That might be a good moment to keep. He's below Max Duggan?
Gross.
Get the fuck out of here.
But if we're still rolling, I'm going to keep rolling. Tyjae Spears at the 206. Let me see. Where was his landing spot? Tyjae went in the third round, the 8th pick of the third round, to the Saints.
Could be wide open for him over there.
Early indications appear to be that Alvin Kamara will no longer be with the team, regardless of his legal situation and what happens with his court case. And yeah, there's nobody else there. I think Tyjae is a really dynamic player. I think people want to compare Jahmyr Gibbs to Alvin Kamara. Honestly, I'm not saying that Tyjae is Alvin Kamara. He's not. He's not nearly the same size. He's not nearly the same level of player. But I think just as far as the way that they move in that kind of unique way, the type of burst that he has and contact balance that he has, I think he's probably a closer comp to Kamara than Jahmyr Gibbs. He's a guy that I'm really high on, and I think if he walks into a situation with an open running back room, he will pounce on it and make good on it for fantasy.
You think he's going to run with it?
I should have said that. That was good. That was better. That was better.
Oh, man. It's okay, man. It's all good. I do like that pick, though. That's a disrespectful they have him so far down on this list, though.
That is pretty crazy.
But taking a look at this 7th pick in the second round, I don't really know what to do. But I think the smart move here and the one I've been looking at the most, I've been looking at Tyler Scott and his landing spot at the Giants because I think he has a very good opportunity to come in and, make an impact immediately. As we saw with the Giants last year, they struggled heavily at the wide receiver spot with a lot of people going down due to injury. Sterling Shepard, in my opinion, I think his career is done at this point. He's seen too many really big injuries, and unfortunately, I don't think he's going to come back the same player that he was. Wan'Dale Robinson should come back next year, should be pretty good. But even if Wan'Dale Robinson does come back and he is that sort of wide receiver 1, I still think Tyler Scott does have a lot of real estate to find in that wide receiver 2, possibly even a slot position because he is on the smaller side, 5'11", 185. I just think he could find a lot of success with the Giants. And Daniel Jones, not a $45 million a year guy like he's asking for, but also not as bad as people give him credit for as well. So yeah, it's a good landing spot for Tyler Scott.
Yeah, he's also not a guy that we've talked about very much. He's been getting a lot more draft hype as of late. Mm-hmm. He's out of Cincinnati, if you didn't know. He's a burner. He's got crazy speed. He's going to take the tops off of defenses. That's the type of player that we're talking about with Tyler Scott. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I like that pick. He went as the wide receiver 8 off the board, the 26th pick of the second round to the Giants. So yeah, I like the landing spot for sure. Where am I going to go at the 208? There's two guys that I feel like have been sliding. I'm going to take the one that got the draft capital in this draft. I'm going to go with Dalton Kincaid at the tight end position. A little bit shocking, like we mentioned at the top. Here, let me make sure I have this set. Tight ends, Dalton Kincaid. There we go. A little bit shocking. He went at the 11th overall pick. The tight end won off the board. And maybe even more shocking is the landing spot. He went to the Tennessee Titans, which has one of my favorite tight end prospects in Chigo Okonkwo. So I would hate this if it happened. But I do really like Dalton Kincaid, the player. I think he's incredibly talented. I think he's really athletic. I think he's a smooth operator. He looks like a wide receiver when he's running his routes out there. I don't know how much this matters. This is kind of narrative driven, but I think he started playing football like his senior year in high school, and then ended up being, in the conversation for best tight end in the country only like 4 years later.
Yeah.
So he's still probably got a lot of room to grow and develop as a player, but athletically it's all there. And I think he could really put it together for fantasy at the next level.
Now, do you still feel good about that if Malik Willis is the starter going in the next year?
Absolutely not. I wouldn't feel good about anything if Malik Willis was the starter. But I will say, if you're drafting a tight end in Dynasty,
You're really
I
waiting
wouldn't
for
really
him to
expect
blossom.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not expecting anything year one from pretty much anybody. Typically, breakout for tight end is like year 3. So yeah, this is more of a future bet for Kincaid.
Gotcha. Okay. So taking a look at what is this? The 209, the ninth pick in the second round. I'm looking at Zach Evans. But the issue with Zach Evans here, right? He wasn't drafted on this 3-round mock. And like I said before, it's no hate to Chad at all, so don't try to send any hate Chad's way. But it's just weird that he's not on here. I feel like he's someone that should have been here above a lot of people on here. Like Roshan Johnson did make this list. Even though I do like Roshan,
I like Rashawn. Yeah.
I just think Zach Evans is better. So it's just, I don't know.
Yeah, I think we talked about it in our player rankings, like strictly based on player evaluation. I think he's better. We've seen a lot of hype. If we're talking specifically about Roshan, he's been getting a lot of pre-draft hype. And running backs, like going in before the 3rd round, is starting to get rarer and rarer, more rare, however you want to say that. So I don't think it's too crazy that he would drop. But yeah, I think we both agree that he's more talented than he's being given credit for.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like that pick at the 209. We'll go to the 210 and we'll run it back with another guy that I think, honestly, this is more egregious that he didn't get drafted in the first 3 rounds of this mock draft, and that's Josh Downs out of UNC. So let me put him up here, Josh Downs. Yeah, I'd be absolutely shocked if he didn't go in the first 3 rounds. But again, we're doing this based off of landing spots. And so the reason I can justify that is because I think Josh Downs is just so talented that even if he did go in the 4th or 5th round after this mock draft ended, I'd still be more than comfortable taking him at the 210, just knowing what his upside could be, even without knowing what kind of situation he would land in.
Yeah, I think Josh Downs, like you said, as a talent, kind of too hard to pass up, even though we have no idea where he's going to land at. We just know he's going to be successful wherever it is.
Yeah, for sure.
Taking a look at the 211. This is somebody who also did not get drafted on here, but I feel like they deserve to, or at least I feel like they're talented enough that they're going to make an impact when they do make it to the league. That's Mr. Kendre Miller out of TCU. Just somebody we saw perform extremely well last year. We know it's kind of off of on the smaller side of small sample sizes, but I do think he's going to be good. A lot of people, I think Nick Ercolano, he put out a video. I didn't even watch it yet, but he called him like the next Dameon Pierce. I don't quite understand that comp. Do you understand that one?
I think he's just saying a guy that's not getting as much NFL draft hype could go later, but is going to outperform
a lot of
his
guys. Wherever he ends up getting drafted or undrafted at.
That's my guess. I haven't watched it either, so Sorry, Nick, if we're misinterpreting.
But yeah, that makes some sense right there. I like that. But I do think he's somebody who is going to slot in and perform pretty well at the next level.
100%. Yeah, he's a guy that's definitely rising up my personal draft rankings. I love Kendra Miller, and I hope he gets higher draft capital than, I guess, than none, which we're seeing here.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, with the last pick in this 2-round mock draft here, I think I'm going to take another guy that didn't get drafted in Chad's 3-round mock. Just based on talent alone, I'm going to go with Devin A-Chain. He's next up right here. Again, just way too talented, crazy burner speed. We've talked about him a bunch in our player rankings and in our other mock draft videos. Super versatile, good as a receiver out of the backfield, all around talent. The only knock on him is his size. And I'm really excited come combine time, which is coming up here pretty soon, to see how fast he runs that 40, because we're talking about potentially 4.2 speed.
Yeah, that would be awesome to see. Honestly, I want to see somebody break the record. I'm trying to see something in the 4.1s. I want somebody to show me something.
That'd be wild.
But like you said, Devin A-Chain, burner, and way better in between the tackles than people give him credit for as well. So still going to be a good runner in the NFL too, I believe. So Devin A-Chain, absolutely.
For sure. Yeah, so that will wrap up our 2-round mock based on Chad Reuter from NFL.com, his 3-round mock with landing spots. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys learned something from it. If you want to engage with us in the comments, that would be fantastic. Let us know how you would have drafted differently, if you agree with us, what you think of Chad Reuter's mock, all that good stuff. We love the engagement. We love talking to you guys. So that would be much appreciated. But yeah, Will, you want to wrap us up here?
Hell yeah. Make sure you guys do all that great YouTube stuff too. You guys have been awesome lately with the comments, so keep that up for sure. Make sure you guys hit that like button too. Helps us get out there to more people, helps get the information out there. And the more people we got watching, the better we can make our content as well. So keep that in mind. And make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. That way you'll know when we drop our videos. We should have some more stuff coming up soon. We actually got to do a little bit of planning. I'm not really sure what we got up next. What do we got next?
We got some stuff in the works that I'm kind of excited about. Nothing's guaranteed, nothing's locked in, but we might have some get ahead of ourselves. But yeah, we'll save that for upcoming episodes.
Hell yeah. But with that being said, if you guys made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching, and we love you. And we will catch you in the next one. Peace.
Peace.